Hey guys, what's up? Thanks for checking out BTC for Plebs, a channel that's here to help ordinary people learn about Bitcoin. Today, we're going to talk about Nostr. And some of you might be wondering, like, why are we talking about Nostr? I thought this was like a Bitcoin channel, and that's part of it. Nostr, I think, is an extension of Bitcoin. It's definitely something, at least in this manner, that people who hold Bitcoin have built, okay? And so the easiest way to explain Nostr is, first of all, it's spelled N-O-S-T-R, but it stands for Notes and Other Stuff Transmitted Over Relays. And this isn't super important here to remember, but notes and other stuff just being data, so data transmitted over relays. And that is essentially the idea here that we're doing. This is not a Bitcoin replacement. This is not a separate token. This is not some NFT. This is not a crypto product. This isn't something you have to buy. Okay, this is a social network. This is a social layer that Bitcoiners have created. It essentially is a way for you to connect, right? For you to connect with people, to connect with businesses. And I want to take some time today and show you kind of why I think that Nostr is really kind of a baby step towards Bitcoin and why this all matters. So let's just jump right in. Nostr, again, to just read here, is a decentralized social network with a chance of working. It's a simple, open protocol that enables a truly censorship-resistant and global social network. Okay, so Nostr, in a nutshell, is really just a protocol. Okay, you can think about it as email. Okay, whenever you email someone, you are using the underlying protocol that all of the email, I would say like domains or email providers have all agreed, okay, this is the method that our emails are going to communicate. This is the structure that we're going to use for email. And I think that that's called STMP, if I'm not mistaken. STMP, what is that? Yeah. It's the eBay. Oh my gosh, listen to me. It's STMP is an email relay service. That's what STMP is trusted by thousands of customers every day to power their email transactions, or transactional email sends. Literally, it is the underlying network that anytime you send an email, you are using SMTP. And I keep saying it wrong. It's SMTP. Back this up a little bit more. SMTP is a protocol. It's a protocol that really we all use to receive a 6-digit code to let us into our account, to receive vital information, to send funny gifts. It's a service that all of us have agreed on that, okay, we're going to use this network to communicate. This protocol is the underlying feature set for what Google, Yahoo, it's what all email is kind of stemmed from, is this SMTP. And so to think about Nostr, okay, Nostr is also a protocol that's designed to allow communication between relays. Whenever I was talking about email being the underlying, and then like Gmail and Yahoo and all these different apps being built on top of email, you can see that right here. It's just kind of flip-flopped in the picture. So you have relays along the top, and that's where all kind of the information is stored, is along those relays that are right here. But then you have the specific like users. Okay, so these are individual users right here that are using these platforms. And then these right here, so this one says using Iris on the web. And this would be like, someone using just a website to access Nostr. And so Mary here is using it that way. Alice here is using Amethyst on Android. Amethyst is just an app on Android. And so they're using an app-based service on Android to communicate with this relay. And Bob is using Damus, which is, again, we'll get there. It's another app on for Nostr on iOS that he's using to communicate with the network. But all of them are using the same underlying service. That's important to remember here. Everyone's using Nostr, the underlying service, and then everything is built on top of that, whether that be a web service that you access Nostr, or whether that be an application that you access Nostr, or whether that be an extension that uses uses Nostr. So that's an overarching explanation of what Nostr is. And I guess let's kind of back up and say the why behind the what. The reason why it's important to have social media that's ran off of these relays is because, number one, it's not a point of failure for a centralized entity. Number two, there's no barrier to entry, so there's no paywalls involved. Facebook's a very pay-to-play platform. Same with Meta, Instagram, same with Twitter even. It's very pay-to-play, and the algorithm does a lot of the work for the social media. This does not rely on any algorithm. This is just messages being sent between relays and then aggregated by these. So again, the messages are being sent from Bob up to the relay or out to the relay, and then being received or read on the other application, even on a different device. So this resembles kind of how the Lightning Network works. If you're running a node and you make a transaction, you send a transaction up to a node. That node then relays the information out to other nodes in the network, and then it gets picked up by miners and gets put into a transaction. All of that doesn't take place in here. It kind of stops at the communication layer, but that's where it connects to Bitcoin. The other way that it connects to Bitcoin here is whenever we start to think about how we use Nostr to sign in, because it is a completely different process. Because we're not relying on a centralized authority here, on like a centralized database, there's no username and password to contend with. There is simply and the same as in Bitcoin, there is a public key and a private key. So it says, let's read right here, each Nostr account is based on a private/public key pair. A simple way to think about this is that your public key is your username and your private key and your password, with one major caveat. Unlike a password, your private key cannot be reset if lost. And this is the same with Bitcoin. If you lose your private key to your wallet, once you send the funds off of an exchange to yourself, and you have, self-custody, you have control of your funds, if you lose that private key, it's gonzo, gone. There's no getting it back. There's no like bitcoin.com to call, or no like tech support help, whatever. And that's very similar to here in Nostr. The good thing though is that we're only referring to a social network. We're not talking about our life savings here. We are just talking about this kind of social layer. So again, the public key is generally presented as a string with the prefix inpub1 and the private key with the prefix insec1. Make sure you store these private keys somewhere safe, obviously like a password manager. And Nostr itself, we've talked about this, but I just want to reiterate, it's just a protocol, an agreed upon procedure for passing messages around the internet. You will access Nostr using that single private key, that one password, really, that we've narrowed it down to access all of these different clients, whether they be across like mobile apps, whether they be on the desktop or on the web. And so these clients go out and fetch that data and then retrieve it so that you can see it. And so this is a lot of info. I totally understand. And maybe you're asking yourself, like, again, why are we even talking about creating another social network, and why do we need it decentralized? Let's go there for a second, because it's important to remember that the only way you're able to see this video and hear about it is because we have constructed our society around a form of communication that is able to be co-opted or able to be controlled or able to be I would even say like silenced because of like algorithms and the way that like you only see what they want you to see on social media. And so with protocols like this, with open available, social media networks, we can begin to set social media up the way that it was in 2008 when I started Twitter. I mean, you used to have a feed of everyone that posted. It was in order. It was chronological. It made sense. There was no, let me pick and choose for you and let me throw a bunch of ads on here. You will not see that on Nostr. That does not exist. There are also very few people out there on Nostr. And this is another great point to kind of talk about and bring up. When getting into Bitcoin, it's a very niche kind of thing. It's not something that a lot of people are like gung ho about, or want to talk to their best friend about. It's something usually they kind of keep to in private, or if they don't keep it in private, they're usually just kind of dabbling their toes and just doing a tiny bit. We can think about that the same way with social media and with Facebook or Instagram. Whenever we start to really get invested into the platform, it becomes part of like who we are a little bit of. It's like, this is the things that show up on my feed are pertain to me as the individual. It starts to target the individual, creates less privacy. It creates broader issues about, like, you never see any of your family's events on Facebook. You only just see what they want you to see, which most of the time is like negative, or just the thing that gets like hype or attention or sells, to be quite honest. So moving to a platform like this, or at least opening your eyes to it, allows you to start taking an approach on social media that's completely different. You start to take the approach of, what can I build on the platform so that way more people know about the good things that are going on, instead of, let me post the thing that gets the most attention or the most hype. The other cool piece to this is, right now on Twitter, you have to pay a certain amount of money to get a blue check. I think the same thing on Instagram. I bet you it's coming to Facebook if it's not already there. I know it is for business owners. And so with using a decentralized, social media like this and stepping into that, you can begin to not just anonymize yourself if that's what you want to do, but you can verify yourself as well. You can verify that this is for sure my private key that I am sending from. And then to take it a step further, you could even go back and you could run your own relay so that you are sending all of your data to yourself. You're recording all of your social media yourself. I think that that's a really unique aspect. I think that that could be really helpful for future generations. Number one, because all of my MySpace stuff is gone. Gone. If I had the ability, or if my kids could have the ability to post to social media, it wouldn't be controlled by an algorithm. It won't be under anyone's rule of thumb or server control. They're posting to my relay. They're posting to my server, essentially, or to theirs. Then they're able to control their communication. If we're unable to control our communication, and we're just getting this perception of how many followers we have, and we actually don't know if those followers see any of our stuff, the followers don't matter. Like, there's no need to even have them, because if the algorithm says no, this post doesn't go out, then you're basically at zero. So anyway, I'll back up a little bit. Sorry, kind of on a tangent there. But that's the reason that we should use it. That's the reason that we should gravitate towards Nostr, and not just use it because other people are there. Use it to get other people there. Use it as a way to help people see Bitcoin. Okay, so we need to even get there, right? To even get there. Don't think of social media now as a tool for you to get something from. Think about it as a tool for you to give something to. And all of a sudden, you now change the parameter of what social media actually is. If it can be a resource, if it can be a tool, again, and not just a consumption device, right? But a production device where you are producing into the social media that you want to see. That is more, that can advance society. That can do things. Nostr can do things. And let's talk about that for a second, because we haven't really even touched it in action. You haven't seen Nostr at all. We've only just kind of talked through what it is. And so we've learned that Nostr's really similar to how Bitcoin functions, at least in an essence. But it's not a token. This isn't some extra thing you have to do on Bitcoin to own Bitcoin. This is a way for you to communicate with other Bitcoiners in an ecosystem that they are building on. That's important. So through that, I want to show you this website here. This is just nostrapps.com. Nostr apps.com. And these are all of the apps that are currently being built on the network in Nostr that can communicate with each other. There's like 60 some apps here. And you saw it started on social. This is kind of where things really started. And you can very simply just go to this application here, Damus. This is for iOS. If you have Android, you can go to Amethyst. This is one for Android. If you're just getting started, I would recommend Primal. I'm going to do a whole video just on this app right here because I think it's so much fun. First of all, you can see that the platforms here, it's on all three. So it would be on the web, so you can just visit it on a website, on Android, and then also on iOS. And just download the app. Download Primal. It'll have you just go ahead and log in, and it'll provide you with that private key that we talked about over here. So that it'll provide you with that InPub, and then the InSec, and then obviously make sure you keep that safe. So once you have that private key, that InSec password, you can then visit any of these apps, any of them, and you can start to navigate around it, see how it works, and start to experiment with Nostr a little bit. So there you have it. I hope that helps you see the benefits of Nostr, understand it, know what it is as a social media, and kind of what's coming down the pike for technology. So if you want me to review any of these Nostr apps, just let me know in the comments. And also be sure to like this video. It really helps because those goofy algorithms, man, that's the whole reason we're getting away from this. So I'll see you on Nostr. Bye.